guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am I. What's up? Yeah! Coming up on 3 years, man. Fucking crazy I'm still doing this shit. I feel fucking good today, and it feels good to feel good. Had a pretty emotional morning, right? A little turbulent. And not even in a bad way, just started to feel some stuff moving, right? And I just came from teaching this, or leading this group. It was kind of a young boys retreat, like 13 to 17. Actually, one of the kids was 10. So like 10 to, and one of the kids was 19, so like 10 to 19 years old. And leading these young men, you know, through just some exercises and discussions and talks about, you know, how to live a good life. And it's amazing how fucking off the world can be, you know? It's so crazy. These kids, I could just see that they were so happy to be in a place where they actually felt accepted, where people were talking about these things. Kids were talking about they haven't laughed like this in so long, and like, and they just spend all this time alone in their rooms, and you know, I don't know, it's rough, but it was beautiful to see them there doing that, right? And it was one of the kids actually said, I heard them as I was coming in, and they were having a group, and one of the kids said, this 10-year-old kid was like, I like to think of it as the glass is half. Wait, fuck. What did he say? So he said, I like to think of it as the glass is half empty, so that I could fill it all the way up. I was like, that's awesome. I mean, you could think of it as half full that way too, but it was just kind of cool that he said that. I was like, that's the right attitude. I was like, that means the glass is half full. I didn't say that, of course. I was just like, yes, you're a young philosopher. Glass is half empty. That leaves me room to fill it up. So what? So let's dance. Hey. Okay. Manic. Just another manic Thursday. So, what are we talking about this week? I don't fucking know. I keep getting fucking beard hairs in my nose, so forgive me if I do this. Getting up in my shit. All right, back to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Seriousness now. Austerity. Actually, that's what we're talking about today. Let's be austere. Let's be serious. So we're moved over into the niyamas, right? And we're on into the third niyama, which is tapas. And I don't mean little spanakopita's and little olive plates and things like that. No. I mean tapas, which literally means heat. It's translated to heat. Usually translated then as austerity or self-discipline, right? Which is an incredibly important practice, right? I am usually into a space of like really self-love and all this self-love and take care of yourself, and it's really misunderstood that also once we move into that, that's why contentment comes right before this. This is a practice of contentment so that you can move into the uncomfortability of the shit that you don't want to do, right? So fire, the heat that we build, is a catalyst to transformation. It happens in chemistry, right? It's any chemical reaction. It's like the heat is a catalyst to that transformational process, right? And in an alchemical process, right? Turning us into gold, turning our lead into gold, definitely heat is required. So that means in a physical practice, whether it be our physical bodies, right? We know this from working out and burning however many joules or whatever, that heat is a transformational thing, right? We build up the heat in the body, and that helps transform our bodies. But it also happens to us emotionally, right? And that heat comes, where does that heat come from? Heat comes from friction, right? One place heat comes from is from friction. So if you have that friction in your emotional state or in your mental state, right? That actually helps create some change, right? So if we're doing something that we don't want to do, is basically what the practice is because that friction is going to come when we don't want to do something, but we do it, right? And it's kind of hard because this is a balance. That's why I said all these principles have to come mediated or mitigated by the other principles, right? And really it does, you know, a lot of people I know, including myself, are like, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, that's a little austere for me, right? So, and it really is, because it's for people that are living in a monastic lifestyle. It's pretty severe, right? But this, you know, I come from like self-love first, and people are like, well, self-love so that you can get under yourself to get over yourself, right? So you can love yourself enough to recognize that you don't have to be self-centered, right? So some people would say just do this practice and recognize you'll get past that, but I think that's a lot of spiritual bypass, right? So there are elements, I think, you know, and that's where it comes all the way back to step one with the yamas, which is ahimsa and non-harm, so not harming yourself. And it's like it really works through all these different ones to even, and they go in a particular order for a reason, right? And so when we get into, like I said, even contentment, you know, is a practice of contentment first, so we're not coming into a space of misery. And because people can take this, and there's people in ashrams are filled with people that are just trying to push and fight and burn in that austerity, and they're really, I don't think, getting anywhere, right? Because it's really coming from a space of low self-worth and having to prove something, and they don't even know that. I mean, lack of self-awareness is astounding in this world, but these programs are different modalities to help us get that self-awareness, right? So there's definitely things in life that we know that we don't want to do. That is just absolutely a part of it. Nobody wants to pay their fucking taxes unless you, and then if you don't want to pay your taxes, you also don't see those people. Maybe you go and start your own commune, right? And that's fine. And you could do that way and secede from the union, right? And fucking not pay your taxes, you know, or find some other way, become a minister or something like that, right? But there's things that you don't want to do that you have to do, right? And that this friction, this heat that is caused, it appears in our lives in many different ways. It can appear as anxiety. It can appear as anger or frustration. And these are not necessarily bad things. These are essential parts of who we are. They become dangerous when they are actually suppressed, or when they're not understood or controlled or released in a, when I say controlled, I mean released in a controlled environment. Or learning, there is a sense of, this is about self-control. This is about self-discipline. This is about learning to not come from that place of pain, right? It's learning to stay in love despite all of the pain that we're having. But a lot of people don't even recognize that. A lot of people think that they're really far along the spiritual path. And this isn't a judgment, because it's myself included. But like, that's why it's just have to be aware of what we're doing, because the suffering is not caused by the world, but how we relate to it, right? And that relating to it can cause a lot of friction. It can cause a lot of fire, and that's okay, because that fire will burn shit off if you do it in a healthy way. That's why we also have to be careful of not too much fire. We have to balance this fire. Too much fire will burn the whole fucking thing down. Now maybe that's what we need to do, right? Maybe you need to push so fucking hard that you actually burn the whole goddamn thing down and start from scratch. That's not my business for me to say. That's for you to figure out, right? I realized I pushed too hard, and how much I still continue to push myself, and I'm settling back and being like, let me actually like ease back on the fire a little bit, and let me heal, moving back into spaces, back into that love first, that self-love first chakra, right? So the fire really comes in the third chakra as we have the relationship to self and relationships to others already under control. This is the relationship as we take our will and move it out into the world, right? So that fire is a beautiful thing, but again, it's relegated by, you know, having a balance with the earth and the water and air, and right, and you can't even have the fire without the air anyway. So they're all very correlated, right? They're very related. So understanding that the fire is not a bad thing, and that it appears in ways that we may consider that we don't like, right? Nobody likes to necessarily get angry. Well, some of us fucking addicted to it, but it also appears in ways like passion or inspiration, right? And it's in our being. It is who we are. It's that spark of life. It's in our nervous system, the whole electrical system, everything that fires, right? It's really the really cool process of the yagna, which is a fire ritual in the Hindu tradition. And in that tradition, or in that ritual, it's an offering of sacrifice. And that's what really austerity is about, building that flame and that heat of going against what we want, so we can sacrifice something to something larger, so we can not put ourselves first. But again, this is after we've already learned how to put ourselves first in a healthy way, right? Because otherwise, if you're codependent or something like that, you're fucked. All those bigger, huge principles of teachings of like serve, and do for the higher and get over yourself, and like don't be self-centered. are all very beautiful teachings, right? But you have to understand how to love yourself first, to come from love, to understand that you are love, to then be able to get less self-centered, right? Which is different than selfish. So in the yajna ritual, it's a ritual of offering and sacrifice up to the fire, right? And so as I recognize that the every synapse that fires, I can't freaking speak, every feeling hot, 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 then all the falling, something is falling, feeling hot, 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 dance break. Austerity. So, as you recognize that fire, the spark of every synapse is a fire to which we can offer something up to something higher, so that every thought that we have is a fire that we can offer up to something higher, which is pretty amazing. So that fire burns away any of the impurities, right? And elevates us to something higher. So that comes from actually finding even the stillness within us, because we want to move, we want to move, we want to move, we want to move. Actually, that fire can happen when we start to find stillness, and that shit fucking goes up in here and burns out and it explodes. And we learn to release it in a healthy fucking way, right? In a therapist session, or in a fucking kickboxing session, or whatever the hell you need, right? But then learning to channel that fire into inspiration, right? Into passion, into something beautiful, right? And the passion, it's really interesting, because the passion we talk about in passion, within the philosophy, passion is actually not a great thing, because it's all about ease and steadiness and stability, right? And peace and serenity, which I do love, but it's the passionless passion. If you can have that passion, if you can have the feminine in your life from the foundation of the masculine and the feminine mixing together, boom, the passionless passion of life, that's when life is fucking vivacious. Vivacious, right? So when you can have that fire, when you can burn with life, but know that none of this external stuff defines you, you are defined from within in that centered, beautiful space. In Lakesha Lakin, I am you, you are me. Namaste. Feeling hot, hot, hot. I'm only falling. I'm only feeling hot, hot, hot. What? Too much?